Hi, it's Bronwyn from Rap, and today I'm mixing out the Reggaeton session with some extra drum parts that we recorded with drummer Lloyd Martin. I'm starting off with mixing out the drums in this Reggaeton track because drums are the main focus point of Reggaeton. The dominant rhythm really needs to be exceptionally pronounced, so you want to mix that kick and snare really quite nice and forward. And in addition to the main kick and snare, there are often a lot of other percussion elements. There's hand drums and shakers, and all of these elements should also be really mixed way up. Now, kick and snare take up a lot of the audio spectrum, and when you're mixing for EDM genres, you would basically clean up and open up the drums to make room for the bass and vocals and other lead instruments. But in reggaeton, because the drums are such a huge consideration and so important, I actually like to keep a lot of that extra frequency content in the drums because the drums become the focal point of the mix and then I mix around that. And a lot of the drum loops and the samples that producers are using these days sound absolutely awesome. So when I get to work with really great drum samples, it usually means I don't have to do a lot of processing to get the sound that I want, and I can really concentrate on sweetening the mix. I also sometimes like to saturate the drums a little, so I might introduce a tape delay or plugin or some overdrive. But in this instance, I'm going to show you that with the Lloyd Martin section, I've actually parallel compressed those drums to help them sit nicely and bring them forward in the mix. So let's have a look at my kick drum. I've EQ'd it a bit in the 75 hertz range just to give it a nice boost over there, and then scooped out some of that lower mid into the mid range and given it a bit of a presence bump because I just want to bring that kick drum a little bit forward. And the way to do that, there is a blog and a tutorial about depth, and the way to create a sense of depth or to bring something forward or push it back is to actually manipulate your high frequency content. So just to bring the drum forward a bit, I've added and boosted that top end. So let's have a listen to the kick drum. Right, that's without the EQ, and now with the EQ. As I've mentioned before, reggaeton really combines both ideas of having a solid pulse and then, of course, the rhythms that happen in between those pulses. So what I want to do with this kick drum is I want to create that solid pulse, and that's why I warmed it up a little bit and I treated it the way that I did. Then, of course, on the snare drums, you can have a look here. Let's have a listen to the snare and have a look at the EQ. Again, I've scooped out a little bit on the snare because I want it nice and forward in the mix. And you can see that I've given it a nice, gentle overall boost over a number of frequencies. Again, just to bring that snare drum a little bit forward. So let's have a listen to the snare drum without the EQ, kick and snare together. And now with EQ. And I really have mixed them quite high up in the mix. Now, of course, there are a heck of a lot of other percussion elements that are added into the whole reggaeton vibe. And right, so let's have a look at the percussion. If I play it, and you can see what I've done here on the EQ. I've given it a nice boost in the high frequency area. I've added some compression, and I've added some tonal character through its distortion, its saturation over here, just to really bring out the sound of that percussion. And then the secret sauce, I suppose, of just running it through a wild combination of different stomp boxes here in Logic, just to add a little bit of flavor and character to that percussion. Then, of course, if we now bring in the kick and the snare, and we've got ourselves a really, really cool groove. Then what I've done with Lloyd is, here's all of Lloyd's session, and I've actually used parallel compression on Lloyd's drum session. Let's go and have a look-see. Here's our parallel compressor here. You can see that I have quite a nice high ratio, quite a bit of makeup gain, fast attack time, and then a slowish release. But what I've done just to really add some character and bring out the session is I've utilized one of my favorite plugins for drums. It's the Eddie Kramer drum from the Eddie Kramer collection, and it's specifically for drums. You can have a look at the settings that I've used over here just to really, really bring out Lloyd's drums. Let's see if we can get to a section in the song where that works and brings it up to life. And I'll quickly bypass that parallel compression. I can hear the difference. All right, so as you can see, on the drums themselves, I haven't used a heck of a lot of processing in order to change the tone and the sound. And the reason was that I was really happy with the miking. I was really happy with the sound of that acoustic kit right from the very beginning. We spent some time tuning the kit and choosing the microphones and placing the microphones in order to capture the best sound and the best performance that we could. And the result is that I just needed to add a little bit of parallel compression, and there you go. I've got a really great sounding kit, and it's working for the style of reggaeton. Now, let's have a listen to the drums in context with the rest of the mix. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you again in the next video.
Sé que lo que quieres tú, me gustas pero todo normal.